Hello. So, yeah, for anybody that's here, this is the second Wordle live stream. I guess this is my second live stream just in general, but I guess I'll explain what we're doing and then kind of just dive right into it. So, we're creating a copy of the very popular currently Wordle puzzle game. So, daily puzzle where you have to guess a word. You get 6 tries to guess that word. And it tells you like what letters you've used and like whether or not they're in the right place or maybe like in the wrong place. Yeah, so like we have like a working proof of concept right now. It's like kind of I would say it's not super clean, and there's definitely some features that are missing. So yeah, in this stream, I'm just gonna be like cleaning things up, maybe adding some animations. I might try to add styled components. So for what it's worth, we're working with a Next.js application. So yeah, we also have like API routes for the actual word of the day. And yeah, why don't I just like dive into the code base and show you all where we're at. Cool. So this is the next app. We're looking at the like pages index. So essentially like, the main page, super simple setup. So we've got our Wordle component. We've got some global styles here, some CSS variables. And yeah, I think the magic happens in the Wordle component, which is kind of like what you see here on the right. So for anyone that's not familiar, like I mentioned, there's like a daily word that you have to guess. And I actually don't know what the word is today because I don't like remember the words that we added to the API. So why don't we actually start by like playing it, seeing if we can't figure it out. No spoilers this time because this is actually like our own Wordle clone. So yeah, I'm gonna guess great, which is one of my favorite words to guess because it has E and A and all different letters. So cool, so we have the A in the right place, there's an E and a T somewhere in the word, and then G and R are not in the word. So what other word can we guess? Oh man, actually now that I think about it, actually playing Wordle live might be super boring. Um, so why don't we just inspect the network and see what the word is? Cool, so we can see here, I'm gonna make the console a little bit bigger. The word of the day is metal. So if I write metal, I did it, I'm awesome. But yeah, so great. So E and T are in the word, A is in the right place. So you'd go and like maybe like guess other words and it's like, oh cool, so like M and E are in the right place, and then it's M E something, A and then something else. Cool, so like I'm gonna guess metal. Amazing. So that's like the gist of Wordle. But yeah, so this isn't actually like feature complete yet. So I'm going to, let's see, where should we start? I think something that would actually make this just feel a little bit better is going to be like the animations of like when you actually guess a word in Wordle, like the letters do a little flip. Yo, Dennis, thanks for tuning in, friend. Hope you've been good. But yeah, and let's talk about the code base a little bit. So here's our Wordle component. We are using this use word of the day custom hook to essentially just do a fetch to API/word, which is in this Next.js API route right here. So that's going to give us a word, and it's going to be like randomly based on the day, and we're just going to store it in this state and return the word. So our Wordle component knows what the word of the day is. And then we have a use effect that is essentially just tracking like what letters we are typing. So when I write like A, I'm like typing letters right now, and there's that key down listener that is checking like, did we type a character? Did we type backspace? Are we hitting submit? Is the guess finished? And then based on those things, you know, like I can't submit a word without having 5 characters in it. If I hit backspace, it clears the, you know, the last placed letter. And then once I actually meet that constraint of, you know, having like A, B, C, D, E, so like 5 characters, hit enter, I can then go to the next one. Cool, so that's how that's working. Then we are, so to actually like see what is in the right place and what's not, we're creating a this puzzle word car count, which is essentially just like a map of all the, for that word of the day, like how many times each letter exists. And that's what tells us, you know, like when somebody guesses like an A, but it's in the wrong place, like is there an A actually in the word? Yeah, and then just basically like, you know, making it's correct if the last guessed word is the word of the day. That one's pretty straightforward. We failed if there are more, or rather if you've submitted the max number of guesses, which is 6. And then, yeah, so we have some components like submitted guesses is the component that is rendering each of these individual like submitted guesses, guess rows, I guess. So if I do like, yeah, so there's going to be 2 submitted guesses components in here. One of these, so like following the submitted guesses component, there is a, what are we calling it? The current guess component, which looks like the empty guess component, but it's actually like live, and that's where the, you know, individual letters go. And then we render some empty guesses. And then finally, if the user got the word correct, we say, you did it, you are the smartest. And if they failed, we say, oh no, better luck next time. So I think where I left this off last time, it was kind of a mess, and I actually feel like I'm going to start by just cleaning a few things up and making this a little bit better, because there's some weird things going on. And let's see, so where should we start? So one of the things that I remember not really like enjoying is that we have some wonkiness in like the submitted guess and submitted guesses prop types. So just to like have some reusable types, I'm going to start by cleaning some of that stuff up. So submitted guesses props gets submitted guesses, which is an array of strings. Puzzle word is you know, the string of the, or rather like the word of the day, so that's a string. And puzzle word car count, that, I mean, this is all fine. I think what I wanted to do, so we have guess props, which is the props that are actually passed to the current guess and the submitted guess. So I'm just gonna like bring that up. So a guess is an array of strings. So we can just say type guess equals. So that's gonna be a string array, and then this can be that. So the guess is the current guess again, as well as like the previously submitted guesses. Those are both arrays of strings. So let's see here. So we have our submitted guess props, which passes the puzzle word, guess, puzzle word car count, and key. So let's just make some types, or a prop type for this. And puzzle word car count can definitely be abstracted into its own type. And why don't we just put these types above? So we'll have our like reusable types here, and then some props. And now this ugly like union or intersection, I don't remember what the ampersand syntax is actually called, is now just submitted guess props. Cool. Sweet, and then this now belongs to the current guess, so let's just actually call that current guess props. Cool, that's a little cleaner than what we had before. So let's move on to the next thing, which, or rather, let's see if there's anything else we want to clean up. So I remember using this like this puzzle word car count, which is what we're using to determine whether or not a letter has been guessed but is in the wrong place, is kind of wonky. I feel like it like wants to be I would say maybe like a custom hook. So let's just do that. Just like take that out of this like body. So let's say use use car count map. That's gonna take a word, which is a type string, and then we can basically just copy this. Say const puzzle word. Give that the word of the day. So it can be null at this point. So we can say string or null. And then if there is no word, we'll just guard closet and return null. And we actually can't do that because we want to use memo. So, oh, but this already kind of had that baked in there. So cool. So use car count map, takes a word, which is a string or null, which it's null if the API request is still fetching. And this use memo is going to return, oh, an empty map. Cool. That's nice. So it always returns an object. Or rather, yeah, an empty object. If it's null, returns an empty object. Otherwise, it will go and create a object where each key is the letter in the word and the value is the number of times that word is in the word. So if the word was beets, B would be 1, E would be 2 since there are 2 of them. Good stuff. So cool. And then there was one other wonky thing that I remember being like, this doesn't feel good, and it was actually this. So how we actually use the puzzle word car count. We clone it in the body of the submitted guess, and we have this like, car map that is essentially just a clone, and then we loop over the individual characters in the guess. So like this submitted guess component is one of these rows. But yeah, so we loop over every single character. So if the guess was beets, we'd say guess for each, and at first guess card would be B, then E, then E, then T, then S. And if that character is in the correct place, so remember that the word is metal today, so this E is in the correct place. So we decrement it from the car count map. So since there's one E in metal, the car count map starts at like, with E with a value of 1. And since we got it right, we want to decrement it, and we do a first pass for all the correct characters because in this case, right, so like, the word is metal, E is correct, but then I have this other E, and the word metal does have the word E, or the character E in it, and if I did this like in a more like naive fashion, which I think the first time I actually did do that, this E would be marked as being in an incorrect spot, so it would be yellow. But since we already have this E in the correct spot, it should actually not, it should be marked as like, you know, not in the incorrect spot since we already got it right. But yeah, just cloning this map and then like doing a for loop and decrementing like feels weird. Maybe like looks a little weird, especially if you're like, I don't know, used to like idiomatic React. This just feels like a side effect in the render, which it is, and I feel like it's not the worst thing in the world, but maybe by just making like a hook out of it, we can feel a little bit better about it, even though it's not actually going to change anything. So let's do that. So like, let's say use, what can we call it? Let's say use temp for now, and then I will think of a better name. So use temp is going to get a car map, and it is going to clone it. And I mean, it's essentially going to do the same thing, just like hide the little like ugliness of it all away for us. So it's going to get a car map and a word, and then a guess, because those are all the things that we need to know in order to determine like this body here. And we can actually just move this right in there. So let's say that the car map is that, the word is a string, and the guess an array of strings, and I actually have guess types, so cool. And then I actually want to decrement from the temp map and return the temp map. And now we can just say oh, interesting. Actually, I don't know if this is gonna work. So we're actually like in this guess. Okay, so what's going on here? In this guess.map, which is creating this row, we're mapping over each character and decrementing from the car map, like as we render these things, which feels really weird. And I feel like what we could do instead is, let's see. So what if instead of doing this, we had this, you know, some hook that returned something like an array of objects where they could be like status or state. Let's just call it status for now. It could be, you know, correct, and then like car could be the, you know, E or whatever. And, you know, let's pretend that it's actually the word beats. So the first one could be like, you know, incorrect, the character is B, and then the second one is correct since we did guess E at the right place. Would that be, let's see, how difficult would that be? So if we have a word and so like we have a guess, an array of strings, and we have the word that is correct, and we have the car map. I mean, I feel like we could, yeah, we could get there. And then in here, instead of like decrementing or anything, we would just render this array, take the car out of it, and then like get the status, I guess. And like based on the status, we would style it. Okay, I'm going to do that. So let's say use guess checker. So the guess checker is going to take the car map, the word, and the guess, and it's going to turn it into an array of objects that kind of looks like this. All right, let's see if we can get there. So I actually don't, we could like recreate the car map in this guess checker like every time, but then we would be recreating it for every single row. So let's just take it in and clone it. But then we pretty much have to iterate over the guess. Yes. So we're gonna say const checked guess equals guess, and then we're gonna map over this. So temp map is now actually going to be, let's call it car map with correct guesses. And for now, we're just not going to return anything. So we have the car map with correct guesses, and then we go through, and for each character in the guess, if that guess was correct, then we decrement by 1. Cool. And now we have to do a second pass. So here we can map over the guess. The first argument here is going to be the character, since the guess is an array of single characters. And now we basically just have to do this check, but in this hook. So I'm going to pull this up and keep it there for now, and comment it out just so I have an idea of what was like how this was working before. Because yeah, fun fact, like I definitely forget like how half of the things work after stepping away, even for what, it's been like 2 days. So got a question, should we also use TypeScript for React? I would say 1000% use TypeScript for React if you can. I mean, if you are using JavaScript but you have the option to use TypeScript, I would almost always say just reach for TypeScript, unless it's like a complete like one-off script and like there's a significant amount of work to like get it, you know, set up. But if it's not that difficult, which with something like Next.js, for instance, you just, you know, you say like npx create next app and pass like hyphen TypeScript, and then like it bootstraps with TypeScript by default. Yeah, there's like almost no reason not to. Because yeah, type safety is awesome. It gives you like so many better like code hinting abilities. So like, I mean, for now, I don't think that like any of these would show that, but actually let's see if any of these do. So like, you know, I have my car count map, and like I can see right away this function takes a word that is a string or null, and it returns like an object of keys that are strings and then like numbers. With, you know, regular JavaScript, that would not be given to you. So just like the additional information that it gives you is super nice. You know, like if you're like a, I would say like complete beginner to JavaScript, like maybe like learning TypeScript first might be more difficult. So in that case, just like be pragmatic. But once you have a decent handle of JavaScript, I think TypeScript kind of like comes naturally. Cool. So, all right, we clone our car map. We account for all the correct guesses. And then we finally map through our guess. And so we want to, for each guess, return an object. And in that object, we want to have status. And let's just give that a string for now, and car. So how do we know what the status is? So we know that this character is correct if the current character equals the word at that index. Cool. So last time we were calling a character that was in the word but in the wrong place, present. So why don't we just say that our type here, like our let's call it guessed car status, can either be correct, incorrect, or present. And this is going to, yeah, so let's see. How do I type the return value of a map function? Can I do something like this? So now is checked guess an array of strings? Yes, cool. If I say number here, is checked guess an array of numbers? Sweet. Okay, so then we know that the return value of this is an object of status, and then car is string. Sweet. And here is, yeah, like one of those really nice things about TypeScript is since I typed this map function's return value as, you know, status must be correct, incorrect, or present, it's like yelling at me that I'm not returning the right status. Yeah, so type errors are annoying, and here's like this, you know, fantastic tool to avoid them pretty much altogether. Cool. So status. Let's just say correct for now, which is, you know, not right, but it's fine. So we know it's correct if the current character is the same as the character at the word at that index. Cool. And we know that it is present. So meaning, hey Don, what is up, my dude? Happy to see you here. Thanks for sharing the event, by the way. Really appreciate that. But yeah, so we know that the character is present if before we were doing, you know, just setting it to false, and it's present if it is not correct, and the car map, so now we're saying car map with correct guesses, has this character, and I guess the value isn't 0, but since, you know, like, since 0 would be falsy, if it was 0, this would not get hit. So, cool. So if it is present, we want to decrement from the character map, and is present is true. And then we're going to return the checked guess. Side note, I figured out how to set up prettier in a Next.js project. I forget every single time, and it is so easy. All you do is make a prettier RC file, and you put an empty object in it, and then auto formatting just works. Yeah. Honestly, I was like beating myself up last stream because like auto formatting wasn't working. I was like, why is this not working? Cool. So let's see if that worked. I mean, that was a lot of code, and we do not know if it worked or not yet. So we're going to say const checked guess equals use guess checker. So the car map is the puzzle word car count. The word is the puzzle word, and then the guess is yes. And because I love debugging with console log, I'm just going to console log check guess. Let's open this up. Open up the console. So checked guess. Oh yeah, it says they're all correct because we basically hard-coded this. But we can see here that we have an array where the car is the word that we guessed. So the status is, let's see. I mean, we could do like a double nested ternary here. I don't like those, but, well, I mean, let's just go for it. It's correct. So if it is correct, then the status is correct. Otherwise, if it is present, then the status is present. Otherwise, it is incorrect. And now we got checked guess array. Okay. So you can see, and we're not actually using this, by the way. So like we're just logging it. But now you can see here that the B is incorrect, the E is correct, this E is incorrect, this is present, and then that is incorrect, which is the same as this map down here. So that is pretty nice. That is a little, yeah, that's a little bit better, I guess. Once we actually like use this in the body, we'll see that we can like clean a bunch of this stuff up. So Don, do you have something like Streamlabs alert set up in your OBS? I mean, yeah, I thought I did. I see the chats are coming in. Let's see. Yeah, so chats are coming in, but I guess the alerts aren't. Or you know what, Don? I need your help. You're such a fantastic streamer. Haven't been doing it for so long. Like, you should show me the ropes for you know, how to make this as fancy as it can be. Side note, at some point I would like to actually like develop some things, because I know with OBS you can like use like websites as I don't know, like layers in like the canvas that is like the streaming software. So I feel like it'd be really cool to put together like animations or whatever that we like, you know, live code and then like actually bring them into OBS. Might be a little too meta, but I don't know, could be fun. Sweet. So now we're gonna, so before we were doing all this logic like in this render function, which like, again, none of this is like really changing what's happening. But it will just make this component look a little bit better. So now instead of guessing, or rather mapping over the guess, we're gonna map over the checked guess. And the checked guess has status and car. So we can remove all of this stuff. So we know that it's correct if the status is correct. We know that is present if the status, and I mean, yeah, this just TypeScript, you know, is so nice. It knows like what the statuses could possibly be. So like they're right here. It's present if the status is present, and then this just becomes car. And let us see. So yeah, this, you know, like I mentioned, this shouldn't change anything. Except I think we could agree that the render function in submitted guess is now so much nicer since we pulled all of that like logic out into this custom hook. And I guess if we wanted to be like, you know, even more like, there's not a whole lot of re-rendering going on right here, and like, you know, performance probably isn't the biggest deal considering we know like how limited in scope this project is. But we could like wrap all this in like a use memo and just, you know, be a little bit more performant, I guess. Sweet. So that, I don't know, I'm feeling pretty good about that. I like how the submitted guess count component looks now. That was actually like bugging me like in real life. Like I was like, man, like I remember how dirty that was. Line 151 is a TypeScript setup. Yeah, so this is essentially just defining a type. So this is a union type. So this line basically says like the type that we are naming guest car status can be either the string literal correct or incorrect or present. So since we're saying, and here we're saying that this map function returns an object that has a key of status, so you can see that object in the status key right there, and the type of status must be one of these three things. So if I were to, go in here and like add, even if I just like capitalize this first C, it's gonna say, yo, you can't do that because type correct with a capital C is not assignable to guest car status. Cool. Let's do, I'm gonna regret this, but some animation. So in actual Wordle, and no spoilers today, I'm actually just gonna guess the word that, so this is on the left hand side is like the Wordle. Side note, if you're not playing Wordle, it is so much fun. Huge shout out to the creator. And like I recently learned from a friend that it's the creator of this actually like made some of the like Reddit April Fool's things, which I don't know if y'all remember, but there was like at one time this like giant canvas where everyone had like 1 pixel and you could place like 1 pixel, and people made this like massive art piece. And that was super fun. I just love that this person's just like constantly creating like creative, fun digital projects. Yeah, so love this. It's been a huge hit in my like friend circles at work. Everyone like, it's just so funny that now there's like a bunch of Slack channels where people just like post their daily Wordles. Anyway, so let's guess the word beats because that's the word that we're guessing. And if I hit enter, you will see that they do this like fun little flip animation. Can we do something similar? I don't know if we're gonna get to like as nice as this is, but maybe we can do something close. So that will also be in the, let's see here, in the submitted guess component. And at this point, I feel like we are doing too much stuff in this one file. So why don't we make, yeah, let's just make a submitted guest component so we can like, have our own CSS file and all that stuff in there. So yeah, I mean, usually when I do this, I just kind of grab all of that. We can paste that in here. We can see that styles is, yeah, so styles is not defined. So let's just quickly make a styled, a styles folder. So let's say submitted, yes, module.css. And then we can import styles, types. Cool. So submitted guess is no longer defined, so we have to import it in our Wordle file. And we actually have to export it from here. And let's just say export default. So now status does not have the right type. I mean, there's a whole lot of issues right now, which, bound to happen when you create a new file. That was like relying on other things, before. So this is probably not a good practice, but I will just copy this type for now. And why don't I actually make a types file in, should I make it in Wordle? Yeah, why not? So since submitted guess is like a dependent, or I guess a dependency of Wordle, I'm just gonna move it into that same file, or rather same folder. So now submitted guess is a child of the Wordle folder. And in Wordle, I'm just gonna make like types.ts, and this is going to be our shared types. We can export type guest type. What else do we need? So we want to import guest type. We want puzzle word car count type. Nice. And then in here we have to, since we like took them out of this file, want to import them as well. Were we not using guest type? Oh no, we were. Oh, but we are, yeah. Just have to delete it from this file. Sweet. So these are types, so we can import them as types. Awesome. So now we can try to do this animation for our submitted guess. So in our Wordle module or CSS module, we have submitted guess, car, correct car, present. So we need a few of these things. Unfortunately here, I am going to just like copy this CSS. So again, we need, let's see if this works. I've never actually done this with styled modules or CSS modules, but sometimes when I want to grab all of the styles in a thing, I just like will grab like class name and then do Command D to like select all the instances. In this case, I can actually just grab styles. And then I know that all of these characters, or all these classes rather, are the things that I need since I'm like using them in this file. I don't know if that made sense, but cool. So we have car. I know that I have to go and grab submitted guess. Correct car, present car, and guest car. And I am almost positive that those are not going to be used in the main Wordle file, so I will cut them instead of copying them. Cool, so we're kind of back where we started. Nice. Let us see. So again, the main Wordle component, which now does not house the submitted guess like code, doesn't, need the submitted guess class name either. Sweet. Okay, so back to the plan here. We want to have these things animate in. Man, this is, so let's make them flip first. So we know that these cars are right here, and we can rotate them around the, I think, would that be the z-axis? Okay, that's kind of neat. That looks very modern, but that's not what we want. Rotate X. Cool. Yeah, so basically we need to rotate the X coordinate. So if we look at this car, which is the B, here we can see this transform, which right now on the left-hand side is 0 degrees. So why don't we click this? And here, I'm actually gonna make that a little bit bigger, maybe scoot this up a bit. Cool. Yeah, so you can see that we can flip them like that. by essentially just, you know, going from 0 degrees to 360 degrees. But let's go look at the, you know, like the main Wordle animation to get another feel for how that works. So they only flip once, it looks like. So these guys, if I do like a 360 degree, so essentially they like, huh. So I'm gonna do this again on the main Wordle. We are going, it looks like we're going from like one side of a face to the back of the face, where, you know, if we go 360 degrees, they will do like a full turn. But here, you know, I do blahs. Cool. So we essentially go from one side to the other. What I'm thinking is actually not even doing that. I think we could like mimic this effect by going from 0 degrees to 45 degrees. Oh no, sorry, to 90 degrees and then back to 0. So like that kind of looks like the same effect. And what we could do is make an animation that initially has the, you know, like box color. So like a white border and just like a black background. And then when it hits, so we're gonna animate from 0 to 90. As soon as we get to 90, we're gonna like fill all those colors correctly and then animate back to 0. And I think that will give us this like illusion of a full flip where one side was the bordered square and then the other side is like this filled out card. Okay, well, that's the plan at least. So if I do this, okay, well, that's not good. Oh, okay, that's interesting. So why didn't that work? I basically, so we know that beats is a submitted guess. I want it to look like the, I want it to look like the current guess component, which now says other, so that we can initially, you know, look like that, then flip in and toggle the background styles and everything, and then like flip back. So right now the goal is to get submitted guess looking like a current guess. If I do that, it looks like it, but it is then vertical for whatever reason. Why would that be? I mean, it's definitely somewhere in here. Oh, cool. Yep. So there we go. Yeah. So essentially, yeah, submitted guess. Yeah, sorry. Okay, cool. What am I trying to say? Car is the individual character that has the border and everything. Submitted guess is the wrapper that, you know, puts them horizontal. So since that is the wrapper, let's just throw that on top. And then each of these classes like overwrites some of the properties in car. So let's just look at guest car, which is, no, actually, let's only look at correct, because that might point this out a little bit better. So, cool. So a guest car is any character that was guessed. But since we're not applying this, since we commented it out, we can see that this still has like the border because the car has the border. And then we set the background to guest car to be this like very, it's super hard to see here, but a very semi-transparent white. So it just makes it look a little bit gray. And then each of these other characters, or rather each of these other classes, actually sets like the right color for a present or correct character. So we basically want to, where do we want to do this? We want to do this in, let's try it in guest car. So we want to make an animation, and I might have to do some Googling here because I don't use animation super often. But let's say flip in. I mean, I guess I'm gonna keep going with this because like if I get the syntax right, that'll be a miracle. So at 0%, we want the transform to be, so okay, let's just make them flip first. And if we're just gonna make them flip first, then this doesn't really matter. So at 0%, we want them to not be rotated at all. At 50%, so this is essentially going to be like the animation is going to go from 0% to 50% to 100%. And at 50%, we want them to be, what was it, 90 degrees? Yes. 90 degrees. And then at 100%, we want them to be 0 again. Because remember, the idea is that they're going to go bam and then back. I also just want to say shout out to like this chill hop royalty free playlist because it's actually really good and I really enjoy listening to this when I'm coding. But yeah, let's apply this animation to guest car since every we want every guest car to flip. But actually, before we do that, I want to see, is there any, I mean, I'm going to assume that there's some sort of like delay between each animation in Wordle, just because I feel like, I mean, I might have seen that before, but yeah, so like one kind of goes after the other, which is pretty cool. So that's not going to happen here, but I mean, yeah, let's see if they flip in, and durations be 1 second. And that's all we're going to do for now. So, whoops. Cool. And we want that to be linear. Sweet. So we get that first thing that we need, right? So cool. They're at least flipping. But what we actually want is to set some of these other properties when it is at 50%. So can we start at border? Let's see if, like, I don't want the border to actually animate, but like, let's see what happens if I say border 0 here. So the idea is that I'm going to hit enter. It's going to flip halfway, remove the border, and then flip back. Cool, that didn't work. Because I don't think that it actually, yeah, so it's animating the border. And we might actually have to make like separate animations for this. So again, if I write hello, you might be able to notice that the border is getting like smaller and smaller as that happens. And then it actually comes back, which is kind of weird. I mean, we could just go to 100% border 0. Cool, so now in this case, the border didn't animate back in until the animation finished, which we can fix in a little bit, but we actually want a couple other animations. So we want keyframes, remove border, and that's going to be 0%. Let's go with, yeah, so we're just going to take the same border as car. 50%. I don't know if this will work. Like if I can set the same keyframe for an animation. So like if I can actually say 50% and 50%. But we will try. So the idea here, and I don't know if this is how this works, but is that we're going to go from 0% 3 pixel border, 50% 3 pixel border, immediately toggle that to 0, and then end at 0. And I want to say you can stack animations, so hopefully this will work. Not quite. Can this be 49%? Which, I'll be honest, this kind of feels like a hack, but it's fine. I feel like it'll give us the effect that we want at least. Nice. Yeah, so cool. It looks like we start without a border. We fade back. The border's removed, and then we add the, or I guess we remove the border. And then right now, throughout that process, the background color is like changing. So let's tackle that next. And I wonder if an animation like clobbers another animation. So we're gonna say like MDN CSS animations. Cool, so Stack Overflow is, yeah, so you can set multiple animations in one declaration, but if I were to have different animations, so if we look at the individual characters, right? So like each character has like the styles car, styles correct car. If I were to like set this animation here and expect like the flip in and remove border to work, but then I you know, added another animation here, this one would clobber the previous animation. So we can get around that, that's not a problem. Cool, so finally we need add keyframes. Let's say, so we're gonna make a separate animation for each of the color animations that we need. So again, like we're gonna start at, you know, black, and then at 50% if the character was not correct. So yeah, if the character was incorrect, we're just gonna like immediately flip that background color to this like semi-opaque white. Then if it was correct, it's green, otherwise yellow. So we can actually just copy this, and then we're gonna say, let's call this one BG, and then whatever the status is. So BG incorrect. And these are all gonna be background color. And we're gonna start with transparent. So 0% is transparent, 49% is transparent. For guest car, I like don't like this guest car name anymore, but it's totally fine for now, at least. So for guest car, we are going to be going to this. And actually, I might want to bump this up to 0.2. Yeah, I'm going to bump that up to 0.2. Because I feel like 0.1 is very hard to see. So this was 0.1. Like it's noticeable that it's there, but 0.2 just looks a little bit better. Maybe we can try like 1.5. Nah, I like 0.2. Sweet. So incorrect is going to go from transparent to 0.2. Then we're going to have correct, and I keep forgetting what we call present. Yeah, this state where it's like in the word but not in the right place. Sweet. So correct is the CSS variable of green. Just notice that like double semicolon there. And present is yellow. Cool. So now we have to set that animation as well. So this one's going to be BG incorrect. And we can basically just take this entire line. The background color and border is now going to be set via animation. And now we can say, just update the background color animation. So for correct, it's correct. And for present, it is BG present. No way. Oh, okay, cool. So there's one thing that's missing. I mean, we're so close. But with animations, there's like this syntax is like so easy to forget. But yeah, so like they have a direction and like they have like a way that they stop, I think, too. So I think fill mode is the one that that we're looking for. So yeah, the animation fill mode CSS already sets how a CSS animation applies styles to its target before and after its execution. So here you can see that if you say fill mode none, it just kind of like resets to its to its initial state after it's done. I think forwards will, yeah. So animation fill mode forwards will make it so that it ends in the correct state. And let's see if that works. There's no real need to repeat ourselves there when we can just apply that to all 3 of these. And we'll refresh, say hello. Why? I mean, I spelled it right. So we want the background color to remain. I wonder if So I guess you have to like specify it for every single animation. Like, why wouldn't it apply to all? Multiple animations. Cool. So we have 3 animations. So we don't have to say it that many times. We can just say forwards, forwards, forwards. And I mean, that implies that we can um, cut down on the linear as well. So animation, timing function, linear. And I would assume it's going to be linear, linear, linear. Deleting stuff is the most fun. And then animation, duration. I mean, I'm literally guessing right now, but cool. So we flew too close to the sun. Wow, really? Timing function doesn't let you do that? Let's see. I mean, this would imply that it does. I wonder if it's because it's like before and then the shorthand like sets defaults or something. I mean, multiple animations, it is right there again. Sweet. Cool. We want to do one more thing, and that is do like the Wordle staggering of the animations. So one we guess, and what was the word we were guessing every time? Was it beats? Yeah, so like each animation like happens like one after the other kind of. And I think we can use animation delay for that. Is there an animation delay? Cool. So there are 5 characters. Okay, here's what I'm thinking. There's 5 characters. We can like select them via like nth of type, since we know that they all just live in this div. And they all have like the car class. So this is going to be a little like, I don't know. I think this is going to be a little dirty. Like I wish I could do this dynamically based on, I don't know, maybe like some JavaScript thing, but might just have to write this 5 times. So let's say car, nth of type is 2. Let's say animation delay is, just to see if this works, 1 second. So what we want to see here is the E wait 1 second before the animation starts. So like H, L, L, and O should flip, and then E should go. I mean, that worked, but why did it remove? Do we have to do that so it applies to each of them? Specifies the amount of time to wait from applying the animation to an element before beginning to perform the animation. So like, why didn't that work? don't think this is it, but so strange. Styles car. Guest car. I mean, I just don't think that this, no, yeah, it is totally working. So strange. Animation delay, 1 second, 1 second, 1 second. Did I have fun setting up these lights? Yes and no. I feel like honestly, like the weirdest thing or the thing that I didn't expect is just like how much light you actually need in order to get like a good quality like video. Um, so I'm getting like straight up blasted with light right now. But they do look cool. So I guess that means that it's worth it. Yes, they are Philips Hue. And speaking of, potential ideas for, I don't know, like meta code, some uh, potentially really fun like things to like make this whole thing be more interactive. I'm actually thinking about figuring out whether or not I can do things like if someone follows me or whatever, um, the lights can like change. Because yeah, it's like they have like a pretty cool API, and like I know that you can like do some like pretty interesting stuff with Philips Hue. Nice. So yeah, good to know that we can do that. Although I don't know if I want to just like add a plugin. Like I think it would be pretty cool to like build it from scratch. Okay, so animation delay. Why is this not working? So let's say like CSS animation staggering. I mean, this is what I thought I needed to do, right? I mean, we might just want to move on to other things. I'll give this like, I don't know, a couple more minutes. Because yeah, I'm truly stumped. And it works when there is, yeah, it works when there's only one value and like not all of it, I guess. Let's see. So is this the issue? Like, is it actually just working all along? Okay. Let's say like 200 milliseconds and just go with, so 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so the animation duration here is a little bit too slow, so let's make that 1 second, and let's actually make these half as long so that when one character is halfway through flipping, the next one will start flipping. Oh, duh. Okay, so, and I need to increase each nth of type 500. It's gonna be 500, 1,000, 1,500, 2,000. And with that, hopefully we get nice. Jeez. So yeah, I was just trying to get each character to flip one at a time, because that's what Wordle does. So without this, they would all flip at the same time. Cool. All right, so we got that out of the way. What else do we want to do? So one thing that I noticed is that this is like completely unusable on mobile because I'm listening for key down events. There's like no input or anything. There's like no text input in here. And I feel like it could be fun. Although how feasible and how long it's going to take, who knows? But Wordle has this keyboard. And it might actually not be like the most difficult thing to do. So like with this keyboard, one of the things that it does is like give you whether or not you've like guessed out a letter incorrectly, or if it is guessed but in the wrong place and so on. Might not get to that, but let's see if we can just make a keyboard that has you know, like some way to fire events so that we can use this on mobile. And I don't think I've ever looked at this on mobile. I'm curious to see what it looks like. So let's say, you know, I want a Pixel 5. Cool, yeah, so I guess if you're on mobile, you can like, you know, tap these things to actually place your guesses. So let's make a keyboard. We're gonna make a new file called keyboard. And this is, I mean, not something that I've ever done before. Hold on, gotta hydrate. So yeah, how one makes a virtual keyboard from scratch that fires events live. This is how you do it. So first you return null and you export a default function. So in Wordle, I'm actually going to just import that so then we can actually start printing it onto the screen. Let's get rid of some of that. Cool. And let's just pop that. So we have styles Wordle, then we have the board. So we're gonna put it like underneath the board. So what do I use for organizing my to-dos or even personal documentation? It is a combination of Trello, which I personally enjoy because it's free for the most part. Like, I mean, I know that there's like paid pricing, but I've never like hit any need to use any of those pro features. So like that's where I keep like ideas, even for like, you know, ideas for streams, will go into Trello. But then for my actual like to-dos and just like stuff that I have to get done throughout the day, I just have like a note, actually like a markdown document that I keep on my desktop, and I just like write things in there and like save, and then when I, you know, do a thing, I just delete it. It's pretty low tech, but I've just never been able to get something like a Notion workflow or like Todoist or Evernote or any of those like more structured approaches to work for me. I always go back to the lone markdown document. But yeah, for like anything that actually needs like real project management, or you know, if I'm working with like somebody else on a side project or something, I'll usually default to Trello. Cool. So our keyboard is going to consist of those letters. I'm literally just going through and typing the letters of the alphabet on my keyboard right now. And I don't know if I got everyone. There, cool. And then there's like a enter and a backspace key. I should really just not, keep closing this browser window, but cool. So backspace and enter, and we're gonna say enter and backspace. Yeah, no, you absolutely like have to commit to something. So actually, Asana, we recently started using that at work, and I've been a big fan so far. Um, I might at some point maybe like reconsider Trello and start using Asana. Um, but I don't think I'm ever gonna stop using uh, that note file. Because I use it for other things too. So like it's like to dos. It's how I format my like if I'm like writing an email, I just like write it in Markdown, like open up a preview, copy the preview and send that out. Like um, many years ago, I remember like when I was doing like client work, clients would be like, "Oh my gosh, your email!" Like they would comment on how nice my emails were, and like the trick was actually just writing them in Markdown. I use this app called Macdown, and let's take a brief break to reminisce about how I used to write emails. So here's Macdown. It's free. You can have like a Markdown preview. Here you can like write in Markdown. It's like this is my title. Like hello client. Uh, I miss you. You can have like lists, like foo, bar, baz. You can even write tables, which if you want to blow somebody's mind on how good you are at writing emails, like stick a table in there. But yeah, I would just write it in this, copy this, paste it in a Gmail, send it, and yeah, people were always like, "Oh my gosh, you are like so organized." It's like, nope, it's just Markdown. I absolutely love Markdown. Does it scale and organize well with a lot of different notes? No, it's literally just it's almost like a text, like a lone text file that I just like, you know, if I wanted to like write notes for something, I would. It's like I always have the preview like closed unless I'm like copying and pasting for something. Um, so yeah, I could say like I don't know, like stream ideas, cue lights, automation, and then I just like set another like break, and it's like I don't know, like blog posts, whatever. Yeah, like um, it's like I mentioned, it's not fancy at all. I've heard of Obsidian. I feel like it could be, um, yeah, could be a good replacement. Um, cool. So let's think about a keyboard. So the way that I'm thinking about this is just making like a div with 3 inner divs, and then filling each of those inner divs with like the letters of the alphabet. Seems like a straightforward enough way to do this. So cool. So let's make an array out of each of these rows. So we're just gonna say top, middle, and bottom. So we know that those are the letters in top. We're gonna split them, and we're going to map them. Okay, do we want to do that here? Let's do this in this keyboard, but we're actually going to memoize this. Oh yeah, no, please. Like I appreciate the distractions because I don't know. I've always like I feel like this is supposed to be fun, so it's fun for me to just like deviate and like uh yeah, talk about how I used to write emails, I guess. Super fun and interesting stuff. Um, so yeah, let's make our top row. So use memo so that we're not doing this like on every render. And we're gonna return this. string, which is all the characters in the top row, split them, and then we're going to map them into individual spans of... Actually, I don't need I since I know that those letters are unique. The key is the car, and the value is car. And that is an array of elements. Will that work? I think it's like, yeah, I don't know if this is working because I don't know if I'd be able to actually see it. So why don't we, let's do one thing here. Let's console log hello just to see that this is rendering. So it is rendering, and let's refresh the page. No, this is class names. Let's give this a class name and just make it like a huge font size or something. So we need a style sheet, keyboard, module, CSS. And let's call this wrapper. So I'm not seeing it. So it's definitely there. Oh, I think I know what's happening. Maybe, I'm not actually sure. For now, I'm going to say position, absolute. This is gonna change. Cool. Okay. So I think that like the Wordle board is actually like the size of the viewport. Yeah. So we probably want to change that. So Wordle is the wrapper. Wordle board is the first child. And then we want our keyboard to be there. No, I mean, that does... This makes sense. Wordle board is not... like, Wordle board is, I guess, where it should be. Okay, cool. So maybe we want Wordle to... Yeah, no, not gonna lie, I'm a little confused about why the keyboard wasn't showing when it wasn't position absolute. Is it because it's to the side? I mean, if Wordle is... Yeah, so if it is display flex, do we want to say flex direction column? Not position absolute, just that. Cool, sweet, okay, amazing. So now the keyboard is visible and we're not position absoluting it. So can we say, so we want the Wordle board to grow. Cool, and then let's give it like margin of, I don't know, 50 pixels. Sure. Maybe. I think what I actually want is I want to wrap the Wordle board in a div. And we're going to give a class name of board positioner. So now board positioner is going to flex grow 1. Cool. And then board positioner is also going to be display flex, align items center. Sweet. So now our keyboard is always going to be at the bottom of the viewport. The board is always going to be, so however much space our keyboard is taking up, the board wrapper is going to take up the rest of the space, and then inside the board wrapper, we're going to place the actual board like centered. And yeah, those are the types of tips that I look for. So I will write in my markdown notes, add tags to my stream. Yeah, I mean, this is it is the second one, so I still think I probably have so much to learn. Cool. So let's go back to our keyboard now that we actually have that. So the issue now is that I thought we were creating this character thing, and now I'm confused as to why it's not working. So let's give this a class name of styles.key. Oh man, I wish I played more video games. Like I really enjoy them, but I can just like never, like once in a while I'll find a game that like catches my attention, and then I just kind of like, after I'm done with work, I'll just sit down, play that game. The last, I guess, series that happened with, and this is like a super old game, so it's like I'm like not up with the times at all, but it was The Last of Us. So played through 1 and 2 after I got a PS5, and then I tried getting into Horizon. I really like it, but I just have not found myself like going back to it. What I do want to do though is I want to finish Horizon. Dude, oh my gosh. Yeah, no, how did I get a PS5? So I made a like a little script for some of my friends that would basically just like hit, I think it was like Walmart, Best Buy, and just like keep refreshing the page, and if they had PS5s in stock, it would immediately try to jump to the buy flow, and like play like a sound using like the web audio API. So they just had it running, and one of the nights it actually worked and like woke them up because like it said this thing out loud, and they actually got it like for me because I was like, yeah, like I don't know, like I'm not a huge gamer, but I did want one. So I was like, yeah, if you can get another one, like get me one. So they were actually able to get two. Yeah, I mean it's super funny, I think, because like yeah, it's been like impossible to get, and like somehow, I mean, people wrote probably much more advanced scripts. Mine was literally just like refreshing a Chrome browser, looking for like a button that said like add to cart, and if it found it, it would try to like hit it, and then if it was successful, like just make a noise. But yeah, it worked. Sweet. Okay, so our use memo is not working. Why don't we actually just try taking this and just popping it in here. So I'm going to try. Cool, I found a console. Sweet, yeah, no, that checks out, right? So we take that string, we split it, then we need to map it. But it's not working. Do I have I don't know, like the Chrome debugging tools. Yeah, there's literally nothing in here. Sweet, the keyboard is right there. I'm not returning. Why? Sweet. There's the letters. Gosh, that's... yeah, always annoying when you do stuff like that. So let's go back to our use memo and return. Cool. So that is our top. We need our middle, which is these guys. And our bottom. And there's kind of an issue with the bottom, although... yeah, we can solve it in a bit. So, you know, bottom has like the enter and the backspace key. So we have to do like something special to handle those, because if we just straight up like split by, you know, empty character, then enter and backspace would all have individual keys, or rather like E and TER would have individual keys. So for now, let's not even worry about it. We're just going to turn these into keys and get something happening. So cool, we have our wrapper. And then each of these is gonna get a class name of row. So the wrapper is the keyboard, row is a row of keys. Those are going to be display flex. Cool. These, you know, we don't actually need to give this a height and a width. Each key, I think 20 pixel looks a little small, so let's say, I don't know, 28, 30. Let's see here. So yeah, so why use memo? So essentially, like, use memo will okay, so we want top to be, you know, like all those individual elements that are being rendered right here. And we could map, you know, we could do like the split and the map in the JSX directly. Like this is gonna yield the same result. The reason I'm using use memo is because, like, in theory, like if this keyboard was re-rendering for whatever reason, there's no real reason to like redo this operation of like splitting and mapping and all that stuff. So use memo will, whatever you return, if you if this component re-renders and this dependency array has not like changed, so like if the things in this dependency array haven't changed, then it will return a memoized value. So basically, the first time this component renders, this function gets called, the return value gets assigned to top, and then if the keyboard rendered again, use memo would be like, oh, the dependency array didn't change, I'm going to return whatever value I calculated last time, right? And that concept is called like memoization, which is why it's called, the hook is called use memo. So now this component can re-render and we won't have to like do the mapping every single time. It's, yeah, one of those things where like, is it necessary given the relatively small scope of this application? Probably not, but I don't know, like may as well. Also here, it kind of makes our return a little cleaner by like assigning, you know, variables or declaring variables for like each row. Cool. Side note, another way that you can like memoize, so like let's say that I had a function that's like testing, and then like it does something expensive and like returns, you know, hello or whatever. There's another export that is just straight up called memo. So if you wanted to memoize the entire component, you could say like const testing equals memo, and then pass it that component. And now this component, this testing component, won't actually re-render unless like its props or its state changes. So it essentially creates what used to be called like pure components, but using like functional components, which are those are what most people use these days. Sweet. Also, side note, I actually think that like, if I remember correctly, and I would not quote me on this, but I think that like React is actually going to be doing some of these like performance optimizations in like a way that's like built in or automatic, so you won't have to like think about it in the future. Maybe I feel like that's something that I heard. Cool. So I want to make this font family sans serif. Each key is going to say, let's give it a background color of, so I have my colors in, okay, cool. So there's this globals.css file, which is applying global styles. In pages index, I have this global CSS. This is superfluous because I can just stick these things in here. Cool. So we have black, white, yellow, green. Let's have a gray. And what is a good gray? I think last time that we did this, I used coolers.co, which I think is a really, I'm just gonna plug this every time. I'll probably be using this like often. So this tool, essentially you just hit space and it just like generates a bunch of random new colors, and then you find one that you like and then you use it. So let's say that this is gray, and actually here's a pretty cool thing that you can do is, where is it? Yeah, so you can like click that and like select like a shade, or would that be a shade or a tone? I'm not sure. So I'll select a little bit of a brighter color. So we're gonna say gray is gonna be that. Now our keyboard is gonna have a, so each key is gonna have a gray background, and then its color is going to be black. Cool. And then let's say margin is going to be 10 pixels for now. Oh no, sorry, actually, I mean I do need margin, but let's make it smaller. Let's say 5. Cool. Adding top bottom is gonna be, let's say 10 pixels. Neat. And then each character is going to be, stop. By the way, I am literally just guessing here. So I actually don't think I need, well no, I don't need left right padding. Cool. And then here we can say text align, center. Fun. How about 35? Sweet. Yeah, coolers is like one of those things that I keep in the back of my pocket because like it helps me theme sometimes. Like I know how to design when really I just know how to like hit the spacebar until a combination is like pleasing to my eyes. Yeah, would definitely recommend that folks use it. So cool. So each row is full width, and I want to like center these keys inside of the row. So I'm going to say justify content center, and that kind of looks like a wow, this red background looks absolutely horrid. This kind of looks like a keyboard. Fun. We're going to give each one of these a border radius of, I don't know, 5 pixels. Amazing. And this, yeah, like little design tip, which I feel like I learned a long time ago, is that if you actually have something that is like truly vertically centered. So each of these keys, hold on 1 second. Just want to bump that up a little bit. Cool. So each of these keys, right, is has 10 pixels top bottom padding. So we have the character, and then at the top there's going to be 10 pixels. At the bottom there's going to be 10 pixels. If I inspect one of them, maybe we can see the bounding box. And like oftentimes, like if you just give something equal top bottom padding, or rather if you space it truly centered, it actually looks like it's too low. So sometimes you can just like add a little bit more spacing at the bottom and it'll look more natural. So that's what I'm gonna do. 10 pixels top, 12 pixels bottom. And I'm gonna bump them up a little bit so that they're a little bit chunkier, and I like that. And why don't we say key hover is going to be, one of the annoying things about CSS variables, and I don't know if there's a way around this, but you can, I don't think you can like, you know, use like a darken like sass function, but for real, I just do not write CSS anymore. I use styled components almost exclusively, so maybe you can. Let's see, CSS variables, darken function. The new spec. So you can essentially turn it to HSL. That seems, yeah, I don't think that seems like too much. Let's just pick another color. So that is our gray. I'm gonna go back to coolers. And this isn't great since I'm gonna be using, I don't think I'm gonna make a variable for this one, but on hover, I just want it to be like a little darker. So I'll just maybe like pop down to this. But you know what? The more I look at this, I feel like these are too dark already. So what we're actually gonna do first is select the lighter color, lavender gray, and why don't we do this? Sure, whatever. Yeah, I'll just make it a variable, but kind of weird to name a variable gray and then have a gray dark that is so close in value, but whatever. Cool, so now when I hover over these, they should get a little bit darker, and I feel like that is too much. So let's pop down to there. Maybe too subtle. Let's do that one more time. Cool. Sweet. Gonna give these a cursor pointer so that they look a little bit better when you like hover over them. And now, when you tap one of these, we want to fire that key down. That seems, yeah, I don't know how to do that. Let's see. Do I feel like I'm still pretty good with designing websites? I mean, no, I'm not good at designing websites, but I think I'm like decent enough at like doing, like I would never, if I was building like a side project, I wouldn't like design it myself, release it, and then like not get a designer to like specifically, redesign it. I think I can get the website to a place where it's like, fine enough to use, like MVP level. But then I would probably just go to like yeah, I'd probably just like hire a designer at that point, like once it's at MVP. But what I wouldn't do, I don't think, is like start by hiring a designer, because I do think that I could do the majority of things that like the website would need from like a functional and like usability perspective. And I think that by like starting with like a, you know, a really nice high fidelity design, it would just like waste a lot of time. Um, so yeah, and like my, you know, when I originally started like working in software, I wasn't a developer. I was like doing more like strategy, research, UX, sometimes designing things. So it's like I'm not like great at any of those things, but I feel like I know enough to get by. Oh, dude, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, feel free to, um, yeah, just like hit me up, make some time. We can hop on a call and do a little bit of a maybe like a UX slash design audit. Cool. Okay, so we have a keyboard. We want to be able to press these keys and fire an event. How does one do that? I truly don't know. I could think there's like two ways to do this. One, we could actually try to fire the actual like a mock key down event, and that might be like a fine approach. How to fire key down event dynamically. Um, am I building a Wordle clone? Yeah, totally. So yeah, uh, what we have so far is, so there is an actual word of the day, and let's just quickly deviate. Um, but yeah, so I'm using Next.js. Next.js has API routes, and I don't think the thing that or something that I didn't mention earlier is that the word of the day. So like I keep guessing like beats or hello or something. Oh yeah, and spoiler, the word of the day for this clone is metal. Um, so if I write metal, it's like you did it. You're the smartest. So the word of the day is actually coming from this word API route, and like here are the words that are in my like words database, which is just an array. And how this actually works, and like we tried implementing this in the last stream, um, didn't quite get there, and then like immediately after the stream was over, a friend of mine were like, you know, like how would you actually do this, and got it to work. So this API route, um, so okay, cool. Let's start at the beginning. We have a start of, which is the date that we made this originally, which was the 18th. So this turns that date into a number that is like the number of milliseconds since like some date in the 70s. Um, and we essentially use that to like zero index. So like that date is the 0th index for our array. And we basically, so we have this millis to days function, which takes a number of milliseconds since, you know, that date in the 1970s or whatever, and returns like how many days that was. So then we are basically saying that like the days since we started this project on the 18th is the current date. So like the incoming is like the incoming request. So the current day rather, and then we take that day and subtract our starting date. So today is the 20th. So we take like today's date, get the days from 1970. Let's pretend that it's like, I don't know, 1,000 or whatever. Or let's pretend that like the start of was 1,000. So if start of was 1,000, then today is 1,002. So we take incoming, which is 1,002 minus start of. So, you know, it's 2. So it's been 2 days since we started this like project. And then we get the index by like getting like the modulo or like the remainder of the number of words in the database divided by the day since. So like whatever remainder is there is the index that we get. And then we just take the word at that index. So since it is 2, Abby was the first day's word. Yesterday's word was proxy. Today's word is metal because we are actually at the second index, and you can see here that it is metal. Yeah, so this project actually works like Wordle in that every day there is a new word. It's epoch time, which is always like such a funny thing to like explain to non-developers, that like whenever we like calculate dates, it's all like the offset between now and like programming like epoch time. Yeah, Thursday, January 1st, 1970 is like the actual offset. That's like such a specific thing. I don't know. I think it's kind of funny in a weird way. Side note, somebody asked me to add the word butts to the database, so there it is. That one goes out to Lizzie. I know you're not watching, but happy birthday. Cool. What's my favorite red wine? Oh man, such a good question. Got Grapes by Brock Cellars. It is so good, so easy to drink. Just chill it a little bit, and on a nice summer day, it just hits, man. But if you are, I don't know, I think Brock Cellars wines tend to be a little bit more not like super expensive, but like, you know, I wouldn't be buying it like, or I wouldn't be like opening like a bottle like every time that I want like any wine. There's a Chilean natural wine called Aupa, which is like my, Pipeño Aupa, like that's the label. It is my go-to, like, just lower price point. You can like, you know, feel good about opening it, and you know, it doesn't have to be for a special occasion or anything. Yeah, great question. Let's see. Cool. So where were we? We want to be able to fire an event when you click one of these letters, because that is how we want to. So like right now we are listening. We have like one global listener for key down. So when I hit like A, it, you know, the system knows that I hit A. When I hit backspace, I delete the previous character. So yeah, can we fire a mock? So how to fire key down event programmatically. And I don't want to use jQuery. I mean, I don't know how else to ask this to the internet. This looks hopeful. So we create a custom event that is key down, and then we dispatch it. So let's see, MDN custom events. No, so I don't actually have like a, if you wanted to, you could just, you know, guess AEIOU. So, you know, kind of a bummer. I think in an ideal scenario, like the words database would actually be like, you know, comprehensive. So I'd be able to use the same database for the list of words that we are, you know, the list of daily words that is like the puzzle's correct answer, as well as the validation. But yeah, I don't want to have like a massive array with like every potential 5-letter word in the dictionary. So let's see, use data attributes for the values of the keys and a reusable function that looks to that value and enters it. Yeah, so like right now, I mean, we have, okay, let's talk about the keyboard again. So the keyboard is essentially just this div, which is a wrapper, which has 3 rows. And then in each row, we have the letters in that row. We split it, we map it, we make keys out of them. So we could do something like, actually, yeah, I'm gonna make a quick component here that's gonna be key, and key is going to take a character, which is going to be string, and then it's gonna return a span with that character, and then on click, we're going to console log the character. So, and then it will have a class name of styles key. So we have a way to, oh, we gotta pass the car. Although I guess, yeah, I don't actually need car, I need children, right? Will that work? Let's see, console. Yeah, sweet. So, type children string, key string is not assignable to intrinsic attributes. Children. Oh, yeah. Cool. So we have like a way to click these things, and like, you know, if I click here, hopefully you can see that, but like I click the W and it logs W. I click R and it logs R. So yeah, like I could use data attributes, like no doubt. But what I don't really know right now is how do I make this fire that key down event. But let's look at MDN. So let us create an event. So that's what we're gonna do first. So, and it is key down, because again, our Wordle sets up like a key down handler. And handle key down gets the key as, like, that's the only thing it cares about. Ah, this might, I mean, if this works, this is going to be amazing. Because it looks like it might possibly not be super complicated. So our window already has an add event listener for the key down event. So do I dispatch from the window? Maybe. Window, dispatch event. And that gets the event, and then I can pass key is children. Argument of type key string is not assignable to parameter type event init. So what is this second? So we have new event, and then we also have custom event. Is this custom event? And then is this key string? No, maybe not. Let's just ignore the TypeScript error for now and see what happens. Cool, so that does not work. Let's go look at the custom event docs. Creates a new custom event. Detail. optional and defaulting to null of any type, containing an event-dependent value. So that has to be detail. Bums, that does not work. So what is the second function that this event takes? Event init, bubbles, cancelable, composed. Woof. Okay. We have maybe another option, which would be, okay, so we have Wordle and it takes a keyboard. So could we, instead of, could we just pass like a callback function to keyboard, like as a prop? So then keyboard like does the handling, I guess, of the key. So essentially keyboard would have to get access to like handle key down somehow, and then it would pass the key to this function, which would do all the things that it needs to do. Cool, let's do that, because I feel like that is I don't know, maybe a better approach. So we're gonna have a const handle key input that is gonna use callback. And we are just gonna take this entire body. And this is going to get a key. And key is going to be a string. And we gotta import use callback. Like suddenly like the realization that trying to like mock keyboard events when we could just do this instead is like, why was I even trying to go that route? Cool. So then handle key down is going to take a key, just pass it to handle key input. Cool. Handle key input. So by doing that, I think nothing should have changed. Awesome. And then keyboard can also take handle key input. So then we can say key press handler. Cool. And key press handler is going to be a function, so that is a function that takes a key as, or a key which is a string, and then it returns void. Cool. So then each one of our keys, or rather a key rows, gets key press handler as well. And what we can do here is say key press handler type is this function. Keyboard props are that. And Same with key props. We know children is a string and key press handler is that key press handler type. Cool. And now key can take the key press handler and I mean, I really hope this works. So let's actually remap children to key. And you know what? I don't even like using children here because that feels kind of wonky, but let's say, oh, funny, huh? So key is like the React key prop so that you like, you know, like it knows like which item in like an array when you're mapping, like which item it is. But that means that we can't actually use the prop key, even though we literally want like a keyboard key. So let's call it, I don't even know. Key name? Sure. Cool. So we know that key name is like the key. So it doesn't take children anymore, it takes key name. And now we can just make these self-closing. Cool. So great. Now we have a key press handler in our key, and that key press handler should update the state of our parent. Q E T U O. Cool. So we are missing a couple things, which is enter and backspace. So those two things live on the bottom row. And so we're going to say, yeah, we're going to make a variable out of the letters, and then we're just going to like make a new array or like add the enter and backspace key into this array. So we're going to say letters is that, const keys is, you know, an array of letters, and then we can say const, I want to say is enter, let's go look at Wordle again. Yeah, so enter is on the bottom left and backspace is on the right. So let's say enter key is a key, and its car is enter. And then we have backspace, and then we could say enter key, letters, backspace key. And then we actually just want to return that. Woof. Okay, so those two are long. So yeah, nope, that one has to be backspace. Fun. Cool. So why don't we say keys have a min width of 40, and they actually do have padding, left, right, which is 5 pixels, 10 pixels. Cool. And then keys can take, I don't know, I'm not a big fan of like Boolean props, because I feel like it would be better to take like size, which could be like, you know, like small or medium, or like regular or whatever. But you know, since we're only going to use this in one place, we're actually going to just take a size or a small prop, which is a Boolean, and it is optional. And if it is there, so yep, it can be a Boolean, so like true, false, or undefined, and we're just going to add that to our styles. So if it is small, we're going to say styles small key or a empty string. And if it has a small key, class name, let's make the styles or the font size 15 pixels. So that's going to be for enter and backspace. Woof. Well, that looks weird. Small key. So these are not display flex. Cool. So now, that is pretty cool. I see these like hover styles. What is the actual property for that? CSS, hover, color. How many years have I been working with React? So I started using React at when I was working at Albert.io, like this education company. And I started there. I'm just gonna go creep on my LinkedIn real quick. I mean, I want to say roughly 6, 7 years, maybe. So I started there in 2015. Yeah, so 7 years. Yeah, it's definitely like my framework of choice. I love how it is mostly JavaScript. I mean, like once you like know like how everything works, like all of this eventually just like compiles, I guess, to JavaScript. Like JSX is just like a wrapper for like create element. So if you have like a good grasp on JavaScript, you can kind of bend React to like do whatever it is that you want. But oh lol. So do they actually use an SVG? Nice. Oh yeah, that's fancy. I like it. I mean, nah, it's fine with backspace. But what I do want to do though is now that I see it is text transform uppercase. Do I though? No. Actually, I'm gonna do that here. Nah, I still don't even like that. Yeah, no, let's keep it as is. Yeah. Also, side note, so yeah, like this is like, you know, a React web project, but at my current job, I've been doing a lot of React Native, and like it's pretty new to me, but I feel like I don't know, like I think I know enough to actually have some like live streams where we can do like React Native projects, specifically using Expo, which is this like absolutely amazing tool that lets you get bootstrapped and started and like testing on device like super quickly. So yeah, definitely keep an eye out for that because similar to this, it's going to be like from 0 to something. So like, you know, with this project, like we literally started by creating like the Next.js project from scratch. For this project that I'm talking about, I'm going to do the same with Expo, and I think the idea for the project is a while ago I built this website where you can like, so like let's say that you and a friend are trying to decide who, I don't know, let's say like who's gonna like pick up dinner or something. So instead of flipping a coin, you can go on this website, like touch the screen of your smartphone, and it'll like start tracking the position of your fingers, and then you can hit like a start button, and it'll randomly like start going between one and the other, and like pick one of the fingers on screen. And I built that using like, you know, web technology and like JavaScript. So it's like I think it's like in a code pen right now, and I really want to recreate that using Expo and actually like launch it to like the app stores, because it's kind of a fun way to like it supports I think up to like 8 to 10 touch events, so you could like have like 10 people touching a screen, and it'll like randomly pick one of you guys. So that's one of the projects that I'm gonna be building at some point in the future. So yeah, if you're interested in React Native at all, yeah, just keep an eye out for that. Cool. I mean, I think we're getting pretty close, you know. This works. We've got, huh. Oh, the word changed. Interesting. Uh, so yeah, I guess like it must have rolled over at sometime between when I started and now. So let's go look at what today's word is. Should be space, which, you know, since E and A are in the word but in the wrong place, I feel like we can be pretty confident that it's space today. Wow. Told by my own program. What? Definitely not wrong. E. Is it Abby again? What the heck? Okay, so then this, there must be a bug in here. Yeah, sometimes bugs happen. So in Next.js, in the API routes, you know, if you console log, like this is actually like a server, you know, that's running. So we're not gonna be able to see anything in the client. So I can go to my next process and say, okay, cool. So days since is 3. Which makes sense because days since before was 2. And it is, if it rolled over, you know, we started on the 18th, 19, 20, 21, which would be, you know, I don't know like what time zone it's using, but I guess we're in, like today is tomorrow, if that makes sense. But I would have expected it to go from metal to space. So why didn't it? So in WordsDB, we have how many? Cool, we have 9 words. Cool. Day since is 3. So the index is 3. Yep. So the index is 9 modulo 3, which is 0, which gives us Abby. So what we actually want is to not, yeah, we don't want the index based on modulo, or like length modulo days since. We want, it's so weird when you're like, oh yeah, like sometimes you have to do math when you are programming. So the reason that I even have something like this is because so what I want to happen is that on day 0 we, you know, we go with Abby. On day 1 we go with proxy, then metal, then space, then wrong, then games, then taboo, then words, then buts, which is word 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I can't just use days since to index because as soon as day 10 rolls around, we're not going to have like enough words. So what I was trying to do, which I clearly did not do correctly, is once we are past the end of the number of words that we have, so like once there are more days since than there are words, I basically just want to like roll back to 0 so that date 10 would be 0, then, you know, proxy would be 11, then metal, then space. Cool. So this was like a not the right solution. Why do I want them sequential? I don't know, because I figured like if I did something, well, a couple of things. We can't just use like, you know, math.random because then like part of the fun I think of Wordle specifically is that like everybody gets the same word, right? So you know, you like talk about like, oh, how difficult today's word was or whatever. So everyone has to have the same word every day. And if we did like math at random or something like that, it wouldn't work. So then we would have to like implement some sort of like random but like stable function, which since nobody, in theory, nobody knows what the words database is, right? Since this is like hidden, then it's just so much easier to go like one at a time. Cool. So, okay, let's think about this. And I mean, like right now I'm not necessarily in the headspace of like doing math, so I'm not going to give too much time to this, but I mean, in chat, please, if you have any ideas for like the right math way to do this, like let me know. But so how do we ensure that once we like reach the end of the words database, we just roll back to the, to the first one? It's like one way we could do it, I guess, is like if words dot, or rather if days since is greater than words db dot length, we could like while loop and just keep like decrementing. Does that, I mean, I feel like there has to be a division way of doing this. Okay, so let's think through this. There's 9 words. So word count is 9. Since is re. So we want I mean, we could just do it like the simple way where like if days since is greater than word count, just decrement days or word count until no, rather decrement days since. Man, I'm getting lost. Yeah, no, we decrement days since. So cool. So we're gonna say const index equals let index is days since. So days since starts at 0. Then while days since is greater than words db dot length. Sorry, that should be index minus, and here, let's make a const for this. So const word count is that. So if the index is greater than word count, we want to subtract the word count. So let's simplify to just 4. So day 1, days since is 0. Index, 0 is not greater than 4, so index is 0. Day 2, index is 1. So the index is 1 because we never hit that while condition. Day 3 doesn't hit it. Day 4, index is I don't know if it's 3 or 4 actually at this point. So we go 0, 1, 2, 3. Cool. So day 5 index is 4. And we actually can't index the 4th. There is no word at the 4th index since the 4th index is the 5th position. So index is greater than or equal to. Yeah. So we want to be able to handle that. So the index is 4, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we want to subtract word count, which would put us back. So 4 minus 4 is 0. And then I think that works. So let's test this out by all right, if we see, so what do we want to see on screen? We want to see space. Nice. Okay, cool. So that is working. And then let's test this out. So if there were only 3 words, and days since is 3, so it'd be 0, 1, 2, 3, we'd be like overflowing the array. So we actually do want to see Abby at this point, since on the 3rd day, or rather whenever we overflow the array, we want to go back to the 0th index. No. So console log. Console logging is the best way to debug. Index and word count and day since. So we're just gonna console log these things. I mean, like, honestly, in this case, like, there is no real alternative to debugging. Like, I guess I could set up like node breakpoints and stuff, but this is just so much easier. Index is 0. Yeah, what the heck? Why isn't it Abby? Did I just like not refresh or something? Jeez. If I could quit my day job and make enough income on my own to live off of that, would I? That is a good question. I mean, it would depend, I guess, like on the amount of income that I could make on my own. If it was like comparable to my day job, maybe. But at the same time, something that at least right now I'm getting from my day job is just like learning a ton of like new things. Also, I work with like some, I don't know, pretty awesome people. I mean, yeah, if it was like, if I truly, I mean, I guess, what does it mean, you know, to make enough income on my own? Because like at my day job, I make income like through my work. So if it was like a, you know, the same amount of work, but just like I'm doing it on my own, probably not. Because yeah, I mean, I feel like the amount of work wouldn't necessarily change. And yeah, also it's like super stressful to like be your own boss. Like sometimes, like I freelance sometimes, and I don't think it's something that I actually want to do like full time. I definitely respect the people that do it. I think if I had the opportunity to like work on like a startup that I was passionate about and that I could see like actually being fruitful, that would take me away from like that would be a good reason for me to like leave like a company and go do something on my own. But I also feel like that's the sort of thing that one can like, you know, you can have your day job, you can like work on a side project, and eventually when the day comes, it'll almost be like, oh, like now it feels right to like switch over. So yeah, kind of hard to answer, but yeah, I don't think I would ever like freelance full time personally. Although that's just like personal preference. There's like nothing wrong with freelancing, you know? Cool. Yeah, I mean, I feel like we often like think about like doing things like on your own as like valuable in and of themselves, but I don't necessarily think that's the case. I think it kind of depends on like what it is that you're doing. Like, you know, is it lonely? Like, is it a huge pain to like manage your own like healthcare and like all the other stuff that comes with like being like an independent contractor or something like that? If I was like, you know, if I came up with $1 million idea and sold it, would I like keep working? Realistically, probably not. I would probably just like devote a lot of time to like, I mean, I would keep coding for sure. I'd probably almost certainly keep doing this, if not like do this a lot more. But yeah, then I'd probably just like focus on like open source contributions and stuff like that, like spreading knowledge around. That would be like the dream, right? Cool. So what was I even doing? Oh yeah, no. So we wanted to fix the, we wanted to fix the indexing thing. Is it fixed? Today's word. If yesterday's was metal, today's should be space. Sweet. Feels good. Cool. If I made enough money being a content creator, I don't know if that is like what I would want to be like primarily, you know? Like what we're doing right now is I'm having a ton of fun with it, but like it's mostly for like for me it's like for fun. Like I also do want to like hopefully eventually get to the point where I can be helping people learn web development, React, all the things that I care about. Um, but at the same time, like I do get a lot of enjoyment out of like just being like heads down with a problem and like if I was like watching me do my day job right now would be like super boring because like it's the problems are just like so much more complex that like it would not make any sense if somebody was just like watching over their shoulder where like something like this has like a very like almost like linear progression um and I really do like solving those like really difficult problems and like struggling and like having those aha moments and stuff like that. It would be awesome if I could make like I mean like side money doing this, but like that's absolutely like that's not even like in my radar, I guess. Yeah. But like, like having like beer money is always nice. But I will say like the main driver for this whole thing is just trying to like give back to the community that like helped me so much. Like I'm fully self-taught, so yeah, yeah, you know what I mean. It is true. Yes. My yeah, I don't need like additional. I mean, honestly, let's just say it like this. If this became like some sort of thing, and I actually did like make like I don't know a few bucks here and there, I would just like give it back to I don't know some cause that I care about because yeah, like you're totally right. I don't need like a few like extra bucks here and there, which is why I want people to like get into development. Like it's a very lucrative and rewarding career. Um, Sick. So yeah, I did. I feel like this has been missing a title. We're gonna make this a little bit smaller though. And 30 pixels? Too small. 42? Hmm, sure, why not? Yeah, man. Yeah, fully self-taught. So yeah, I started at like my first like professional job was as my initial title was a UX researcher. But then ended up being like more of like a product strategy person. Uh, and it was like a really small company, so like ended up just being able to touch like all sorts of the process, design, marketing, coding. Yeah, sometimes we were just super low on resource, and it was like, oh, figure out how to like style this thing, and that's kind of like where uh, I got the interest of like doing this all. I mean, I'd been like a technology-minded person for a very long time before, um, but yeah, no boot camp, no college, which I mean, I attribute most of my success to luck. So I wouldn't recommend my approach if you have like a more structured way to do it. Um, a Wordle clone. Nah, we don't need that. Cool. So it's just gonna be called Wordleish. And there's one thing that I don't love, which is that when you actually guess the word, which space, nice. It like shifts this thing. So we're actually gonna take the board positioner and um, let's see. Is it the board positioner that I'm thinking of? It's so I want this message. Where is this message? The message is basically, so it's inside the board. Cool. And it's the last thing. Okay, so we're gonna absolutely position this. We're gonna make the board position relative. And then this is gonna be top, 100%, left, 0, right, 0. Cool, so that's, and then with 100%. I mean, I guess that works. So now this is absolutely positioned, and now we're just gonna add some space to the bottom of the board. And why don't we add some padding to this entire thing? No, actually, let's just add it to the title. Also, like, I would, you know, I'm throwing in like random values in here, but I wouldn't recommend doing that. Cool. So now we have our Wordle clone. What are these like weird Twitch emojis? I sometimes feel like such like a out of touch, I guess, I don't know, old person. I don't think I'm that old, but yeah, I need to be schooled on the culture, because yeah, what is a PogChamp? Sweet. We could do one more thing, and I don't know if it's worth doing. And like the thing that I'm thinking about maybe doing is doing the emoji thing, but you know what? Now that I say it out loud, I think we can just leave this as is. We have our keyboard, we have our animations, we have a title. So important. I'm sorry, y'all. I do not mean to just like disappoint, but yeah, as I said, I'm here to learn. Cool. So before I end this stream, because it's getting pretty late and I have not eaten dinner, and I have a frozen pizza with my name on it. In case anyone's like not super familiar with Next.js, just want to show you like one quick thing. So side note, I just realized that I think we're like still logging these things. Cool, so let's not log that. Next.js has this really awesome feature that I personally love, which is that, so git branch, cool. Wow, we are just not even worrying about branches, just pushing straight to main. With Next.js, you can like have it watch your GitHub branches. So like sorry, my bad. So Next.js is made by this company called Vercel. Vercel has like a software as a service product that lets you like host websites. And if you're using Next, and I think like a few other platforms too that they support, but you can essentially just like go to Vercel, make an account, connect it with your GitHub, and then if you make a Next project, you can just say like Vercel, this project that is a Next project, just like deploy it. And Vercel will be like, cool, if you like push to main, we'll see that and just redeploy. So hopefully when I do this, so we're gonna say add keyboard and animations, git push origin main, fun, and then I'm gonna go to my other monitor and see if I'm logged into Vercel. Dude, I know. I mean, I'm a huge advocate for anyone that makes just tools with like good developer experiences, and that's what they did. So, and it's why, like I was saying earlier, like I want to do a stream with Expo and React Native because I kind of see them as the like Next.js slash Vercel for native, or for React Native at least. Um, because yeah, like to go from not having any sort of project to having a project through like, one command that is essentially like the same as create React app. And then with like a handful like of clicks in a matter of minutes, like after the last stream, I went to GitHub, made a repo, pushed my code, went to Vercel, said, go look at this repo and deploy it. And then my project's like on the web. Like, what? That's crazy. Um, yeah. So now, let's see. Yeah. So how long ago did we push to main? Like 2 minutes ago. Here we can go to this URL, and I'll post it in the chat too. And if you go to this URL, there's the code that we just wrote. Like, what? That's I just feel like there's never been like an easier time to actually like build things and get them out there. Um, I'll stop gushing. But yeah, one last time. I really do love Next.js and Vercel because sweet, here we are. Here's our application that we've been working on deployed for free. I don't think I even added a bank account or a credit card. So I'll keep repping them because they make my life easier. Sweet. It's 10:48. We've been at this for, almost 3 hours. I'm going to call it there. Thank you so much for everyone that hung out. Yeah, well, no, so yeah, I don't even have to repo this. It's like, it's already out there. It's the same repo. So yeah, let's see. I mean, what is my GitHub handle? I mean, I'll post this. Yeah, it's DGCA. So if you go to github.com/, is it just DGCA? Is that? Yeah. So there you are. So yeah, if you go to stream Wordle clone, that is the repo. It's right here. We pushed 3 minutes ago, apparently. So yeah, check it out. And I'm trying to find the chat again. Cool, cool, cool. This keyword appears below the fold. I mean, it depends on the size of your screen, I guess. So yeah, it's not perfect, but we got pretty close. Cool. Thanks again, y'all, for hanging out. Have a good rest of the day. Keep an eye out for following streams. And yeah, if anybody has ideas too for like, what you want to see me build, React, Vanilla.js, TypeScript, whatever, hit me up. Let me know. All right. Peace.